Anything is possible at my stream. You can do anything at my stream. The infinite is possible on my stream. The untouchable is known on my stream. Welcome to my stream. This is my stream. Welcome to my stream. Welcome. This is my stream. Welcome to my stream. Welcome to my stream.
Hello, hello. Welcome in. Let me make sure my mic is working, which it is. Welcome in. If you don't know what's going on, I'm creating this just a card mock-up or a potential thing that I might get to do with UNF baseball. We started with this yesterday. Well, we started 2 days ago, came up with this. And then today, or yesterday, we got to here. A lot more progress. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and finalize this today. So the whole design of this is based off of, they wanted it based off of this, which is sort of the ultraviolet insert that Panini had or Fanatics had made, which looks really good because they hired illustrators to do it. I'm not an illustrator. I'm just sort of making something that I think looks cool. So today what we're needing to do is we need to go in and basically do cool stuff with this guy in the back. The big guy, as I call it. So we've got this guy here we need to do some stuff with. So we initially have sort of this shape going on here. And this doesn't show up anymore because I got rid of these in the back. I thought they were too distracting. But this is what we have going on. So what I'm going to do real quick, actually, is I'm going to reposition this guy. Because I think what I want, it's kind of tough. I want him to be inside, but I want him to also break the plane. So I want him to break this plane. So we've got this sort of rounded rectangle, but I want it to be a little bit more interesting. So we're gonna put that there and see what we do. So objectives for today: figure out the placement of this guy in the back, figure out how we can add a little bit more detail to the background, and then figure out how we can get this to be print ready. This isn't actually going to be printed, but I want to show how it would be print ready and be good to go. I'm also debating if I like straight up copying this rounded rectangle, because I don't think I like this rounded rectangle, but we might leave it. And we can always put some stuff in the back after that as well. I think we can do some stuff with these guys. Like I can turn on maybe one of these, like have this guy, but disable the layer mask so this goes up like this, something like that. I can delete this layer mask, see what we got going on here. I think I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna go in here, we're gonna go like this, and we're gonna get rid of this aspect. And I think I want this to just be white. There's a couple things when making trading cards. It's like having areas that are white is not a bad thing. Like it's good to have some straight up white areas. I think that looks pretty solid, but I might add a little bit of color to this to make it a little bit more interesting. And anything under this orange is going to be the bleed. It's not going to be seen, so it's not that big of a deal. What I might actually do instead, what I can do is I can set this fill to 0, get rid of the color overlay, and then give this a stroke. Yeah, we'll give this a stroke of like 5 pixels. So then it's like this. So we've got some stuff going on here. Maybe we take this again. I'm trying to think of what we can do with this. There's a lot of things that we can do, and there's stuff that I think about when I make designs is sort of how can I add line work to it. So I think line work is something that I want to focus on today as well. So I'm going to make this a new smart object via copy and open it up. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to edit this smart object independently from the other one. If I were to just straight up duplicate it, it would change both of them. But what I want to do is I want to take this and I want to go to Object, Path, Offset Path, and I want to offset it inside and do like a beveled edge. I kind of want to do a rounded edge. I might have to fix this later, but I want to do that. Because when I save it and go back here and set it to 100 and get rid of the stroke and give it the color overlay again, I can place it kind of in the dead center of that. Now it looks super busted because these guys aren't pointy, which is really annoying and a problem. So I'm going to just go in here, add a point, and just fake it and then hope it's covered up and it won't be that big of a deal. I think there's a way to fix that, but I would have to go in and change how this file was made. And I don't really want to do that. I just want to kind of have the spikes down here. So now that they go inside, it's a little bit better. So I think that's better. I think that's good there. Let me take a look at one thing real quick. It's always fun when I start these and then I get revisions from client stuff and I'm like, cool. I wanted you to send this to me hours ago. Oh, I've got so much time to figure this out. Okay, cool. So we've got this here, which I don't terribly love, but maybe we can make it a little bit more interesting. I think this is where we do the color overlay and we make it this blue color and then we have this gradient coming through somewhere like that. I think that looks better. But then we add some grain to this. So what we did yesterday is we went to the filter gallery on some of our gradients and we went down to texture and we went down to grain. I think we just gave it a regular grain. It's going to hit okay. So it's going to give it some grain like that, which is good, except I want it to be monochromatic. But I should be able to just hide this on accident. should be able to do a color overlay and just set it to hue. And then that's going to make everything blue. So if I get rid of that color overlay, you can see the other colors there, but I want it to be blue. So I think that looks fine. I think that's better than what I had before. And I like how this looks. And that's what this is all about. It's really just all about, how does this look? How do we want this to look? I'm just checking that over there. Okay, cool. So now we need to figure out this guy. So to me, I'm thinking in terms of scale and angle. We've already messed up his arm. I already moved it. The first day, his arm was like over here, and I moved it here to make it a little bit more manageable so he stays in the frame. I could do the same thing and bend his arm down this way, but I think that might be a little too crazy. We might not do much with him because I kind of like how he is, but what I don't like is I don't like some aspects of this guy here. So we've got this guy. I think I'm going to get rid of some of this blue on his face. Let me shade this down, and it could be these posterizes too. I wanted it to look kind of more like it was illustrated, so I have these posterizes, but I think I'm just going to like it if it's not like that. But what I think I want to do is I want to add a curves layer. Let me pop this out so we can see what's going on. Ooh, I got rid of my properties panel on accident. Not an accident, I clicked out of it somewhere else. So my properties are way over here on a different screen. I want these here. So for this, I want to brighten up his face. Because I think there are areas where like his face just looks weird. Just doesn't look how I want. So I'm gonna go in here and draw some highlights on his face to lighten that up a little bit. Maybe it's the eyeballs I put on him too. So I think that looks a little bit better. We'll set it to 75. Okay. So the composition, I am liking where it's at. We've got this going on. Hold on, let me mute my TV real quick. Okay. So I think what I need to do is we need something interesting back here to fill this space, but we also need to put his name on here. And I don't really want to do this because this is really plain. But if it was a template, that's what would make sense. However, we can't put anything over here because that's where his name is now, or that's where this stuff is. Now we could fiddle around. We could take, I don't want this color fill. We could take this logo and put it here. And kind of have the UNF logo here, but it's like randomly placed. You know, we can have it down here next to my logo, kind of like this, and center it out. Then there's all this area up here that we can put his name. I don't hate, but we need to find a place for his name. And I don't know where that place should be. So that's the question. I like this compositionally. Background is fine. I think we can add some texture in the background, and it'll be so we can keep it opaque as compared to not opaque. Let me just check something real quick. Click, click. Just want to make sure that this is actually plain. Yep, it is. Okay. Cool. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I need to add his name. So I don't really want to do anything with him in the back because, like, I mean, there's a couple things we can add. So maybe I should. Maybe I add some sort of effect up here. I think I downloaded some effects. Yeah, I downloaded this. So I got this from Footage Crate, which is, or Production Crate, which is a website I shared yesterday, which I get some effects from, which are really cool. I'm gonna add it here. I'm gonna open this up. So I think I downloaded this as a regular item, but I didn't download the ping sequence. Okay, I downloaded the ping sequence here, so we can get rid of this. The ping sequence. So with the ping sequence, I can take like this. So it starts off, it's this basically exploding thing. So I think I want to take this, drop it down in here, give it a color overlay. I'm going to give it a color overlay of the aqua blue. Then I can take it and blow it up and add it here as something similar to this, but not in any way, shape, or form the same. Maybe we do a color overlay of white. No, we'll do the color overlay, we'll group it, and then we'll find that. We'll grab this because this has the filter on it. So actually we'll do a color overlay of white. Group it, paste, and then we have this gradient that has this grain on it already. Oh, it's set to 10%. We'll kind of go like this, and maybe we flip it around. So it's like that. And then what else is in here? So then we've got like this lighter one. We can do the same thing here. So we'll toss this in the same group, apply the same color. Make this a little larger. Maybe this is in its own group. We change the way the gradient is just so it's a little bit different. Kind of like that. And then maybe we grab like this poof behind it. I need to hit enter to apply. Maybe grab this poof behind it and give this a color overlay. And put this right behind the ball. And just kind of go like this. So it's something going on. It makes it a little bit more interesting. And we'll just give this like a full rain. It's really just gonna, oh, I can get rid of the color overlay. And just go like this. So it's blue. And maybe we make it a little bit larger and just kind of go like that. So that's what we have now. So we've got the logo, we have my logo. I want to move this over just a little bit. We've got the debut. We've got some stuff going off the edge over here and some stuff going off the edge here. This rounded rectangle doesn't really do anything now because we have these effects going on. And actually, I want to apply this to this. I think this can look better. So I'm going to grab this. I have no idea where it is. Is this right here? Okay. So we're going to give this a color overlay of white. And we're going to keep this same motif. But I want the gradient we have that has the filter applied to it because I think it's better. So we have our debut tag. We've got this underneath it. We can group this together. I have to apply it to the group because the color overlay is applying to anything that touches that layer. So it'll break if we do anything else. So we can kind of have it be, I don't know, like that. Maybe we rotate it a little bit. Kind of like that. And we can try and make that look interesting. Just depends on how we have this debut. Maybe because we've got the logos look pretty decent right now. Like where they are. So I think they might be fine. But we need his name on here. So the way the name's done on the left and right, it's very simple. We could really mimic that because this is really just for it's just an example to show what can be done. So we've got Baker here. I'm going to put his name here, Brian. You know, I usually like putting numbers on. He's got number 17 on here for Shohei, so he's number 24, I think. So we'll go number 24. Maybe we just do regular 24. Then we got to figure out what font to use. And that's where a big thing comes in, is what font do we want to use for a couple things? Do we want to mimic this handwritten font, or do we want to do this? That's just, I think this one's just Trade Gothic. It's just Trade Gothic condensed bold. Or just like Franklin Gothic or something like that. I want to know if this is shit. Hold on. Okay, so it's not quite that. It's very close. It's practically the same thing, but it's not. We'll just put this over here then, and oh, it's not in here. Let's drop it here. Okay. Delete that. We'll go Brian. And then we'll do something cool with Baker. Now, I get most of my fonts from Adobe Fonts. I also get some stuff from Envato. I'm looking for a handwritten cool font for a sports graphic. I usually don't type in what I'm looking for like this. They just say do it. So I go, okay. This is what we have. I don't really like any of these. We have Sporty Pro. Octan's a decent font. There's Bradley Hand. There's Might Makes Right. Really just depends on how we want to handle this. If we want it to be comic book, we can do CC. We've got all these different comic book styles, which sort of makes it similar to like a Kaboom. It's like Kabooms kind of use this style a lot. Something like that. It's a little too cartoony. What do we got here? I mean, we can really do whatever. I might just do like, I might just default this with some fonts I like. So I've been using a font called Beechwood a lot. Beechwood. It's a variable font that works in a lot of situations. You can do pretty much whatever you want with it. So let's type Baker here. I think what might be good is if we take this and we have this text break out of this plane. I think this is a little too thick, so I'm going to change the weight to be like 700. And 700 usually looks pretty good. I think what I might do here is I might make this sort of a structured like banner to put on there. So I'm going to go to Beechwood. I'm going to go down. I'm going to make this a little bit, let's make it a little bit fatter, kind of like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this the same width as this. Brian, we'll put the 24 somewhere else. But this Brian and Baker. Where's this Brian at? Brian's way up here. Let's put these together. So I'm going to put these together like this. Things are good. Okay. And we're going to put this into like a shape. Sort of like a ticket. But we're going to try and make it cool. So let's just give it a stroke of like 10. We'll do a fill of 0 like that. We'll copy and paste it. We'll just duplicate this, grab the bottom, drag it up like this. So we can have it say Brian Baker. Now to me, this is not enough padding and it looks really weird and I don't like it. So we're just going to add some padding to this. And I want to make sure that Brian is in the center of these, so I can just go like this and center. And then Baker 2 is on there. And then the numbering we had was number 24. What's going on? All of my clients woke up at once and they want me to make stuff. And that's what happens when I hit stream. That's what happens is everybody wakes up and then they want me to do stuff, but I'm sure I can do stuff in the next hour. It'll be fine. So Steven, the problem with printing them, I'm going to show you how you can get files print ready. The problem with getting them actually printed is you need the right printer. So like I don't have the right printer here in my house. I would outsource these to a professional printer that can print white. There are some UV printers that are coming on the market that have the capability of printing white, and I'm looking at getting one of those, but I'm not convinced it can do what I want yet. So I haven't pulled the plug. I haven't committed to that because I'm still asking questions. But the idea is by the end of this, it'll be in a position where this is theoretically how you can print this and make it look good. The problem with most consumer-based printers is they don't print the white layer, and the white layer is like the main layer that makes this work. and look like a professional card than not. So the company that I've been using, that I use to print these cards. So let me see if I can do this. So I got these cards printed. So these are cards of me to use as like advertising. Let me put that up there. So they're like full holographic and shiny and stuff like that. Now I got 100 of these each made, and they're full holographic. They print white. They look like what you would get from Fanatics or Topps. You can't really get one card printed off because they're printed it on these giant sheets. So it's tricky. The more you print, the cheaper it is per card. So like if you print, say, 500 cards, it might be $2 each. If you print 1,000 cards, it might be $1 each. If you print 2,000, it might be 80 cents each. It just goes up and down depending on what the overall print run is. Because once they get the printer running, it's pretty easy to just tack on to that. They just say, okay, keep going, keep doing this. You know, keep printing on this specific paper, because they have to get the press set up for that type of substrate to print on the holographic. So there's a lot of stuff to figure out. It's a company that I've used. It's a company called Matera. You know, I don't know how much small batch stuff they'll do. Like I printed 800 cards. I didn't print 4. If I got a UV printer, I could print 4. I just need to make sure that it's going to do exactly what I want, and I'm not convinced that it's going to do exactly what I want. So I'm in the process of figuring that out so I can or can't get one. We're going to set this to screen. We're going to set this to be black. I want this. Oh, shoot. Hold on. That's passed through. That's normal group screen. Okay. So this is sort of shining through here, which is good. I think I had it like this originally. I just don't know if I like how that looks. I think what we need some sort of small text over here. I think he was 16. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some small text for some texture. Oops. Over here. And Steven, that's the main question I get. Like I've been posting a lot of stuff about getting cards made, and it's becoming more and more consumer driven because there are UV printers that can print the white. So you can do one-offs if you have the right paper. It's just hard to do at your house. And I can do a better job of explaining that probably, where I'm getting the files set up to be then printed professionally. That's where I'm at. And then just pay for the cost of that because I know the quality is going to be there. I need to figure out when he graduated. He was see the problem, he was selected in 2013. They're like $3,000. There's like 3 or 4 different ones. There's one called Morpho that's on Kickstarter. There's one that I would get is from X Tools. But I don't know if the X Tools one can do it. There's one Eufy makes that I know can't do what I want. So I'm skipping that one. I had some test prints done of that. But just if you search like UV printer, you can find them. Now the problem is you've got the UV printer, but then you also need to find the right paper to print on too, which is a whole nother thing as well. Make this like 10 and make this like 220. That's too small. This isn't gonna print well. Let's go back up to 11. Oops. Let's go to like 220. I think I want this here, kind of like that. And maybe we make it just a little bit lighter, like that. So that's just supposed to be some texture. And then we can have this whole thing over here, I think is what I want. Let's put this back. Let's move this here. I think what would look cool is if we can somehow incorporate some of this here. If you want to experiment with like 10 cards, it might be easiest to find someone who has a UV printer and see if you can play around with it. I don't know how easy that would be. Like, I know a guy who I did some tests who has the Eufy printer, and I sent him some files and I was like, see if this prints. And it didn't print how I wanted, and it looked really bad. And I was like, okay, so I know this one doesn't work. This isn't going to work for what I want. So I nixed that idea. So I need to get in contact with someone who owns one of the Xtool ones and see if I can, do some samples, do some sampling of, does this work? Will this look good? Etc. Okay, so I'm gonna make this a little bit larger. I really want this, I think Brian's the problem. I really want Baker to be off the screen like this, because it makes sense in my brain why it would do that. And then Brian can be like right here, something like that. Or maybe we make Brian, we make it wider. We go like 500. Oh, it's only 200. Okay, 200, and we do like 300. Oh no, I think 600 was fine. You might be able to find Facebook groups for people who have UV printers and be like, hey, I want to pay someone to try and print these off. Is there someone here who has the capability and is willing to do that? And you might be able to pay them to print them off for you and do one-offs. That's what I would do. Like, I need to contact someone who has one and say, hey, I want to test this out. The problem is the printer I'm looking at, you might be able to find someone on Etsy. I have no idea. I don't use Etsy that often, but there's people who use these printers and sell stuff on Etsy. So I would implore you to look into that and see what you can find. But I would assume there's somebody out there who has one. Like, I need to find someone who has this Xtools. The problem is the Xtools are just shipping. So it's going to be like months before I get that resolved or figure that out. So, I like how this looks. It's just, I kind of want to get rid of this rounded corner down here. I kind of just want to make it sharp. So we might do that. Or just have it bleed off like this. I think I like that better. Let me go down to the very bottom here. Get rid of that. And then can we just blow up the background? I think we're going to do that. I'm just going to take this and just blow it up. See, to me, this looks fine. And this looks like a card. It's just we need to make sure some of the stuff stays inside our border here, our grid we have, and our guides. So, Steven, I hope those questions, I hope that answers your questions to the best that I can today. It's a tricky thing. It's something that I think is going to be growing in the next 12 months. The ability to individually print things and the more demand to be able to print things. It's just, do I think that, or is there something today that can be done? And I have no idea. Because they're so new. but I'm optimistic on it. And I'm sure you could find someone who has one. It's just, I don't know if people are like super busy, you know, using them for their business, if they don't have the time to print off something for someone. But you can always ask. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you could ask them for a test print maybe, but it still might be like $100 or $200. Or they might not do it because they have other client stuff they're doing. Like when I sent them files that were correct for them to use final print files, it's like 2 weeks after that. But you can ask them and see what's going on. So I think I like this better as a card. Like this is a pretty, I think this looks pretty decent. 800. Let me do we do less? We center it. Just kind of center it here. Kind of like this. And I know there are people who make cards online. Like you might be able to find one of them. They make custom cards, and from what I believe, they use UV printers to make them. So you could always see if you can find them online. I don't have any name to recommend you right now. I just can't imagine they don't exist. Okay, so I like how this looks. Got Brian Baker. There's a little weird area here where things are kind of looking bizarre. Maybe we just get rid of this back. Oh no, we can just add this other one back in. Did I hide it? Yeah, this here. Yeah, maybe we do that. No, I think it's fine there. So I like how this looks. This is a little close. Oh gosh, hold on. I gotta make this bigger. Oh, I want it to match the background. Yeah, that's right. What if I just completely make it not match the background? Ah, that's good. I like that. Now I think his hand is a little bit close to the edge. No, it's pretty good. It's fine where it is. It's a dangerously close. I really like to, on stuff I make, I really like to make sure things are definitely inside of a border or purposefully breaking it. So I think I'm going to do that. And then for his name, maybe we just give this, a big old drop shadow. We just do it in the color of this and hit OK. Do 100%, distance 0. We'll do a spread of 15 and a size of like 50. That's fine. Let me jump up Brian. How do we make Brian a little bit bigger? See, I'm trying to make this so we could do this with anybody, so it scales. But I think this is what I want. So I'm aligning a bunch of stuff to this grid that I have naturally built in here, except this goes here. And this goes somewhere else. Let me do a new, my guides are broken. Because there's one there, but then this should go like here. But it doesn't really matter. All right, so we've got Brian Baker. We've got his name. We're going to make it a teeny bit smaller so it fits in here nice and neat. Cool. So this is where we're at. Do we think this looks solid? I think this looks pretty fine for what I want to do. And if that's the case, I mean, it's been 30 minutes. That's probably all we needed to do to tweak this. What I want to do now is set this up for print, which is a big, sort of boring, but not boring way to do it. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to, and we have this set right now with this hollow, with cracked ice. We can also just change it to hollow if we want. I'm going to keep it at cracked ice, and I'll show you why. Okay, I'm going to save this. I'm going to keep this here so you guys can see it. I'm going to get rid of this stroke. So this looks really weird. So I need to take our background and expand it a bunch. And then I don't need to do I just need to make this bleed fully. Just so we see what's going on. Okay. Can we add some fun stuff to the background though? So it does that? Yes, we can. Okay, so I'm gonna add one of these back. I'm trying to think of where I want stuff to show through holographically. That's what we're doing now. So I think I'm gonna do that. Okay. So I'm gonna erase all this. I just want this coming through. And I think the color's fine. We can't see anything here, but that's fine. Okay, so we're gonna save this. I'm going to hit a button that's kind of dangerous. That's delete all hidden layers. So now all my hidden layers are gone, which is good. So this is how this card is going to look. It's going to look, oops, it's going to look like this. We're going to go multiply. This is how it would print if you printed it at your house. It would print like this because you don't have the ability to print white, which is just how printers work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this and we're going to name it white. And we're going to make this white layer. So I'm going to give this a color overlay of white. We've got our main design and we've got our back design. So I'm going to hide the back design. So now I'm going to go in here. There's a lot of stuff we don't need. So any like color effects we kind of don't need because it's just like all these lighting effects. We don't need these. We just need his body himself. So we're going to go from the back and we're going to reverse engineer this. So I'm going to hide this. Now we can see a lot of stuff going on, which is really good. That's kind of what I wanted off the bat. We don't need the drop shadow here. So now if I turn on this white layer, we can start to see where some of the holographic is shining through, which is what we want. So it's a lot in the background. But I think I want this to shine through, and I want this to shine through, and I think I want this to as well. So what we need to do is we basically need to mask out things that are in the foreground from the background so they don't show up. So this here, I'm gonna get rid of this bleed because it's just I'm gonna keep selecting it on accident. So this ice thing here, I want this, and what I'm going to do, I'm in the main design, which is bad. I need to do this in the white design. So this ice thing, this one can go away. And then this can go away. This that we added. And then these don't need any of the coloring because they're all being added to white. So I'm going to take these. I'm going to highlight and select these like this, and I'm going to remove it from anything behind it that's going to shine through, because what I'm going to do is hide these. So I need to mask out him and reverse it, and then I need to apply that. Usually what I'll do is I'll put a bunch of stuff into a group and just apply it. So I need it to be like this so we can see behind it. So it's cutting out of his hand, which is actually not terribly correct because his hand is in front. So I don't think we need it here. I'm cutting it out of this background shape. And sometimes it's hard to explain this, but if I turn on my front layer again, you can see what I'm talking about now. And it's a lot easier to understand if I just add a solid color of like green. So this is what is going to show through holographically, which is what I want. I want a lot of the holographic to show through so this looks as cool as possible. So I do need it, or there's just a layer issue here. I think there's just a layer issue here. So I can go to my main design, find this back layer, and move this up above the thing. So there. So now it looks like that. So that's good. That's what I want. I almost might want this also to be holographic. So what I need to do is I need to go back to my back layer. Find that. So I'm going to hide this. I'm just going to click on this guy and then hide this. But I want the holographic behind this to show through. So I need to grab this and also delete this. So now it'll show through because there's nothing between the green and that. So this is what it looks like, which is pretty much what I wanted. I think I want this to show through though too. So on the white here, I'm going to grab this vector smart object, turn it off, and then anything below it. And usually what I do is I just grab everything and group it together, put it into a group and invert it. So it looks like this now with the debut behind it. So we can still see the debut logo. So if I turn this on now, it looks like this. And this is really how I want this to look. Because if I get rid of this, you see how much of the holographic is showing through, which is exactly what I want. Now we can go in here and tweak some stuff. So like this gradient, we can make more, we can make less. We can just make it all blue if we think that makes sense. Maybe we add a stroke to that, see how that looks. We can see if this edge in the back looks how we want, which I think it looks fine. I think we could use a little bit of white back here. This should show up fine if printed, this text. This looks how I want. It's just sort of, does everything look how I want? Oh, this here, this is a gradient fill. So I think the gradient fill, I can go like this. Or maybe I go like this. No, because that blends in with that. So I can go like that. So there's a little bit of blue there. But it says, Brian Baker says his name. This is solid in the front. Maybe we get rid of this ice thing. Maybe we get rid of that, so that's blue. But I like it solid. Because you can see here, there's some color to this. So maybe the white we have, we don't want it to be white. We do want it to be something that subtly shows up. But I don't know what the right answer is to that. Or maybe we keep it like this. Maybe we add this back, but we have a little bit of white showing. Because we have that ability. And that's the main thing I want to test with the printer is, can it do... Did I delete it or did I hide it? It's right here. Okay. So I'm going to go like this. So there's a little bit of white going here, but I think I want to invert it. So there's some white coming through, but not a ton. And I'm actually just going to draw a gradient myself. So this is what I don't know if the printer I want to get can do this, which is a gradient of white. So it flows through and I can see a little bit of it, but not all of it, because I don't think it can do that. And that to me is a problem because I want it to do that. So I can have it do stuff like this, where it gradates out and then we can see what's going on. Okay, so I think this looks cool. So we've got our main design, which is this. We can probably give this a little bit of spark. So let's go in here. Let's grab these shapes. They're all together. But what I want to do is I'm going to double click this. And we're going to do a current layer blend if. And if the current layer is somewhat dark, we're going to have it show through. So it's showing a little bit through there. So then when we turn on, I probably should have done that for all of these. So if we turn our main design on, you can see a little bit of holographic through there, but not a ton. But it will show through. So I think this is pretty solid for what I want. I want to get your guys' take on what you think. But I'm going to hit save on this. And then I'm going to put this in a mockup. So I have mockups available on my website, bradleyjackdesign.com. You can go to bradleyjackpacks.com too and see what's going on with that. Do, do, do. Let me just hit some buttons. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in a one touch that I have on my website that you can purchase. And I should make a code for you guys if you watch these streams. I might do that. But let me show you what these are. I'm just pulling them up on a different side here. So this is, I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna turn the bleed back on. If I can. There it is. Okay. So I'm keeping the bleed on there just because when I showcase how this looks, it's not going to matter. I'm going to get rid of this too. So this is what the card design looks like, which I think it looks pretty cool. Okay. So my templates. So there's a couple different ones. So I have these static templates. And I made these a couple years ago. So it's just a card resting. There's a vertical angle, which is one of the better ones. There's a vertical, it's sitting in a corner. Just a couple angles. If it's a rookie card, one against a stack of cards, and then one just straight on. So I think I'm going to do this straight on one. And all I have to do is double click add design here. And then usually what I would do is I would export that file, but I'm just going to grab the whole file itself, drag it in here. And then I can just scale it up so the bleed goes away. It is on the edges. And then this is how it's going to theoretically print. Now, everything else I want to put in here, because if I just save this, see, last time I did this, my scratch discs were full. It pops it into the card here, but we want to have it have funky, cool stuff going on. So here's what we're going to do. Usually I would have in here, and I would just do all the effects in this layer, but I guess I can just do all the effects here. Just set this to multiply. So then it looks like this. So I'll save that, quit out of this, and that's going to automatically update here, save it here, and it'll automatically update here. Then I think the only thing we really need to do then after that is make the background cooler. So right here, bottom color, double click to change here. It's going to open up another smart object. I'm going to actually grab the background from this and paste it here. Put it up here, and then I'm going to blur it just a little bit. Gaussian blur, 25 pixels. So now when I go back to our template, it looks like this now. Now it looks a little dark, so I'm going to multiply it. Maybe we flip it around. And there's a couple things we can do in here. We can turn this off. So this looks pretty good. This isn't a rookie card, so we can do this. Maybe we put on the black front. No, I don't like that. So I think I like how this looks here. So this is what the theoretical card would look like that someone could purchase. And we can do a couple things in here. Like we can just grab all of this stuff if we want and just make it a little bit bigger so it's on the page, but we can do that. So I'm going to save this as UNF card design mock. It's just going to save it to that file. I have other files as well though inside the templates that are 3D animations using After Effects. So I'm going to try and pop that open and see how much it breaks my computer. But what I need to do first is I need to make a new file that's 2000 pixels by 2800 pixels, which is roughly the size of one of the cards. It's just the right ratio. And I'm going to open that up. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in the card here. And it's showing both of these, which is fine. And we'll just drag this up like this. And there's a couple things we could do to finalize this, but this is where it needs to be. Oh, this looks bad because I didn't save the stuff. So I need to go in here. This is an individual smart object. Anytime you drop this into Photoshop, to me, it's adding this smart object. So I have to turn all this stuff back on so it looks how it's supposed to. I really hope you can hear my dog snoring right now because that would be funny. So it looks like that. I'm just going to save this out to my desktop as a random ping file, just named like Baker. And I'll show you what we're going to do. Well, I don't like, oh no, that's just how that is. Okay. So now I have this. So this is a file that I made that has a bunch of different animations. So it's got a card toss that kind of tosses towards the screen. There's one where a card sort of spins and comes together. Now I don't have a back design for this, so I'm not going to use that one. I like the card wheel. And all I have to do here is I just go to my footage, I right click, hit replace, find the file that's the exact same size, hit OK, and it pops it right into place. If I want to add in that background, I can do that. We go to Photoshop. I will just multiply this and just loop it around like this. I'm just going to save this out as a random ping file. Baker background. We can go back to, this is called After Effects, and just drop this into After Effects, send it to the back, and then all I have to do is go to File, Export, Adobe Media Encoder. What that's going to do is it's going to export and it's going to play this. So this is the animation. So it's a background, card comes in, looks shiny, and then moves off. And then it just loops and swoops. So that's what it looks like. So when Adobe Media Encoder is loading, I can export that. And it should export pretty quick because it's a 5-second animation. I'm just streaming, so it's really mad. There it goes. I'm just telling it to save to my desktop. Baker wheel. Hit OK. It looks like this. And then theoretically, it should export very quickly. And it's going to my desktop now. So I have these, so if I want to mock up cards, I can send them the card itself. I can send them and export this, which I should save out. So let me save this out. And the cool thing is you can just add these to as many of the templates as you want and just export all of them. Then you send them like 4 different things. But what I'm probably going to do, and we'll do that just to show what a couple things we can do. Yeah, I got an idea for something. So it's there. So that exported. So now I can open up Baker Wheel, which is right here. And now it just spins in, looks kind of shiny, spins out. Now, if I made this in Blender, I could probably have the holographic actually be holographic. And I was playing around with that a little bit, but it got very confusing for me very fast. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do too. So this is saved. So let's say we want to have variations of this. So I mean, we can just go into this card design now and we can create a variation. So the white layer is good to go regardless. So I mean, this isn't going to look good, but I can go to hue and saturation, and maybe I go to the blues and I change it to be red. And I change the blues to be red or something like that. And it looks goofy. Now I don't want to do that because it looks bad, but I can go down here to like the flames. Oh, this is a smart object. This is actually really smart. So this gradient I made, I can just change this gradient color to be something else. Let's make it red. So maybe there's a red variant. And then anywhere I used that gradient, it changes to red automatically. So I can go down here, you know, all of these. This is a color overlay. If I just change this color overlay to red and change it to hue, it looks like that. If I change it to color, it looks like that, pretty much the same. I'll just change it to hue. And then basically you can just add a bunch of color changes and save out a different variation of that. So if we want this to be a red variation, we can do that. Let me find this, you know, fire we have going on. And I can just do the color overlay and set it to hue. And usually what I would do is I'd probably use a gradient map, but I'm just doing this really quick to show you how I would finalize this. And you can change all the colors down here. We can go down here, go to this gradient fill, change this to be red, change it to red like that, enter, save, quit, go back to our card, it's red there. I want this gradient fill. Where's this at? Is it this color overlay? So then this color overlay here, you basically just have to go in and figure out where you had colors and just change it to be a new color. You know, I can go in here, since we made this, and this one I might just go in to the very top, go to the adjustments, go to hue and saturation. I might just hit colorize, bump the saturation up a bunch, and darken it and make it red, and save it like that. And then we grab these guys. So these are these footage crate anime circles. These all have just color overlays of white. Oh, it's the gradient fill. So we just change this gradient fill, and this should change across the board depending on how you change it. But we hit OK here, save. Hopefully it changes all of them. If it doesn't, you just change all of them, and it takes a little bit more time. Yeah, it changed all of them there. And I think we have just one gradient fill here. It's actually a color overlay. Change that to red, and then we'll just change this guy in the front, this ice thing. And we'll make this the same red, but a little bit darker. And we'll go a little bit darker. And then I'm just gonna hit save. And then when we go back to this, this should automatically update, which is what the spinning circle's doing. As it spins and it spins. Oh, I have to save it here and then go back. And then it updates here. So now we have a red variation. So then I can just go down to the adjustments here, hue and saturation, colorize, bunch of saturation. I can save this as red. And now I have a red variation of this. So if you wanted to do a green or a blue or purple or a black one of one, you can do that on here and it updates automatically. So I'll save that out. So now I have two variations of them just to show what can change across the variations. Because theoretically, if we printed this card, maybe we want a one of one that's black and then everything else is blue or something like that. And that's how you can go ahead and change the colors. But with that, I mean, we're done with the project, or what I wanted to do, which is great. So we've got 3 mock-ups for them. So we've got this mock-up here. We've got a red mock-up just to show how you can do variations. And you can kind of see better up here how this holographic comes through. And then we have the wheel where it zooms in like this. But that is this project, and it is 3 o'clock on the dot, and we nailed it. So this again was just sort of an exploratory example of what could be done for a potential client. I wanted to spend some time doing that. I mean, I started it Monday, so it took 3 hours to do this, which I think is a good amount of time that I would spend on something like this. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing these streams. I have more ideas of what I want to do, and I'm going to use a lot of this to show you basically mock-up cards that I am going to send to potential clients to see if they want to get cards made. And I know what I want to do next. I just need to DM someone and see if I can get some working files so we can get that stuff done. But I hope you enjoyed this short little 3-day journey on making this card from scratch based on this inspiration. You can see there's inspiration from it. It's not straight up copying it. It's probably a little too close, but this is just an example to show someone what we can do, because we pulled these images from Google and it's not completely finalized. But I hope you guys liked this journey. I'll see you guys probably tomorrow at 2 o'clock, show you what I'm going to do then. I might tease that on Instagram or Twitter. But if you guys like this content, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hop on Twitch, subscribe, or follow my Twitch so you can follow on there if you want to hang out there and chat. And I'll see you guys